And so there's been a lot of change from when the program started to today. Obviously, what really matters is what happens in the future. I'd love to get some comments from the coaches about what you've observed and what you think are the main areas to focus on moving forward. And I'm going to start at the top with strategy. Charles?
I think from a strategy perspective, again going back to it, if you can create and put in place what, for my business, my 5 strategies are very, very simple. It's that uniformity, appearance, consistency and performance, a weekly action meeting, weekly buyers meeting. Now a buyers meeting is matching motivated sellers to qualified buyers, and I think that in property management terms that's matching motivated landlords to qualified tenants. It's the same process, and many real estate practitioners have a plan to go out and try and get new listings, but they don't actually have a plan to make sales, which I find really extraordinary. And most of the property managers have a plan to let properties, but they don't have a plan to actually grow their property management, so it's slightly in reverse. The other part of it is building a business pipeline, which is one of our foundations too. And then the final one is daily diary yearly controller, and that yearly controller is really the underpins the entire strategy of my business. So yearly in advance we sit down as a team and we have a series of diary entries or calendar entries that are around every part of the business that we understand. There are things that pop up from day to day, but we know we have to do inspections, we know we have to do price discussions with sellers, we know we have to change our window displays, or we have to change our internet displays or so on. So we diarise that for a total year in advance.
So back to the directors. Phil, can you make a quick comment about how you've worked with strategy and planning and some of the ideas that Charles has just shared?
Well, I think the interesting thing that Charles highlighted for me was that property managers are, if they get poached or if they leave and open their own business, which has happened to me about 12 months ago, where a leading property manager left and took a chunk of decent property management clientele with him that he'd built relationships with. And whilst I don't know what the strategy is to try and avoid that or avert that, because the property managers do have such a tight relationship, I think the cloud-based technology which we're going into to try and avert that a little bit, but also I think Charles mentioned help desk type, where someone can just phone in, as you were saying, and just get the information they need without actually having to talk to their property manager.
Charles mentioned how you have your landlord nights and bits and pieces, and I reckon it's really important then for the directors and other associated people to be involved in those nights to make sure that they're the face of your business, so they're not really connecting with just the property manager, they're actually connected with, in our case, Kim Shorland, because that's who owns the business. So I think that's a really key point to making the people feel connected to the business.
Because there's an amazing concept in the UK about 20 years ago, a bank called First Direct. And the whole thing was you could ring it 24/7, you could speak to anyone, you just speak to them, and they can approve you for a mortgage or anything. So straight away, you're not dealing with a 20-year-old, you're dealing with someone senior, but anyone can make a decision. So straight away, it doesn't matter who you speak to, because they're all trained. But it's probably the investment in paying bigger wages to get better people, but then not having to have the branches and things like that. So from a customer experience, it's unbelievable.
The one thing I like to do though is to put myself in the position of the client. I tell the staff all the time, you're the client. What do you want? Do you want your property manager to call you every week? No. Do you want to know everything's okay? Sure. How can we achieve that without all this touch time? And one thing I've drawn out of this, I can't remember which speaker it was, she was from Melbourne, about a periodic inspection not just being a periodic inspection and being, this is what I'm going to implement next, is to give them a market appraisal, a sales appraisal, a rental appraisal, this information you're talking about, package it up like a portfolio. They can use it at their bank, they can go to whatever they want to do, and you're preempting their inquiries. Therefore they've got that, so when they're ringing you, you're operating from a position of strength in that, well, I've supplied all this service, they're just ringing up to confirm something, or so, because if I had a property, I don't want to know. I just want someone to, here's my money, I've got my money, and I've got the portal now, they can log in and see their money's gone in and what they're going to get. And, just when the property's vacant, minimise the vacancy period. So that's what I really want to work on before the end of the year, to get something professional like that on track. Because I would like to get something like that. Because a lot of our owners at the end of financial year, they'll say, can the sales department give me an appraisal from my accountant?
Well, a lot of buyers agency businesses where they're running property management businesses, and we work with several of those. They're doing that. you know, every time they're doing a review for the client, because their outcome to the client is not to maintain the property, it's to maximise their portfolio. Yeah, and so they look at all of those as opportunities for further income streams for themselves, as well as to build further financial freedom for the client. So it's a very powerful thing to do.